everybody, I'm here to do another manga probe video. I know it's been a while since I've done one, and honestly I wanted to make the next one either my Death Note or Monster manga review, but I'm being really lazy today and I worked all day. I'd rather do those on a day that I have off from work so that I can have a full day to plan for Monster and Death Note, because those are the two reads that we're doing in the BookTube Manga Club, and I want to make sure that I do a good review on them because we've been reading it all month, and I was even planning on looking for a costume. Yeah. Cosplay. They're really awesome psychological thrillers, and if you haven't read either of them, go check them out because they're just mind blown. They're awesome. Anyways, so I'm doing a really easy video today, and that is going to be a manga haul. Honestly, I'm also doing this video because I have collected way too much manga. There's some of this manga that I haven't shown you from back in May, so in the past 3 months I have collected quite a lot of manga that I have not yet shown you guys. So I need to do it before it collects even larger, and then I just don't have a chance, or before I forget what I didn't show you guys. I already think I've shown some of the ones I'm going to show you in previous hauls, so if you see repeats of any, sorry. I'm going to start with the manga that I got from the used bookstore, and the first 4 are from the same series, and they are the first 4 volumes in Jing, King of Bandit by Yuichi Kumakura. So we have Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 4. I really don't know too much about this series. All I know is that I saw it in a manga tag video done by a gaming and anime reviewer. Her name is Erica Zabo. I will leave a link to her channel down below if you want to check her out. But yes, she did the manga tag that I did like last month at some point, and this was mentioned in her tag, so I wanted to check it out. The next 3 I'm not too sure if I'll be keeping for very long before I send them back to the used bookstore, and that is Volumes 1, Volume 2, and Volume 4 of Nejima by Ken Akamatsu, which is the creator of Love Hina, which is this one that I have previously mentioned is very boring. So I want to see if this one's any better. I want to give this author a second chance. The next 7 here I have are all from the same series, and that is the first 7 books in Black Cat by Kentaro Yabuki. And so we have a Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, Volume 5, Volume 6, and then Volume 7. I am not familiar what this story is about. Something about a guy who is a trained infamous assassin for a secret organization called Kronos, and I've been interested in watching the anime for a while and never got around to it, and I just saw that the used bookstore had the first 7 volumes there, which at a used bookstore to find manga volumes, so many manga volumes in a row in the same place, it's really, really hard for me, at least. Like, my used bookstores are all really, really tiny, so that's just not very likely to happen. So I kind of just jumped on it because that was a rare sight to see. Then we have Volume 1 and Volume 2 of One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. I wanted to give this series a try because it's kind of one of those overhyped series that have been going on for a long time. As far as I know, there's like 70-something volumes out right now, meant for a younger audience, but kind of for everybody, and it's about pirates, but very unique pirates. And this is one that's really hyped up, so kind of just thought I would jump on that bandwagon. Those are all the ones that I got from the used bookstore. Now to go over the ones that I've purchased myself. So the first 3 I have here are all from the same series, and it is Volumes 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3 of Arata by Yu Watase, who is the author of some very famous manga out there. Probably her 2 most popular are Ayashi no Seres and Fushigi Yugi, which are like romantic fantasy shoujos, so meant for girl audiences. And from what I gather from this is also another shoujo fantasy, something to do with gods and humans coexisting. But what really interested me in this series, and it's kind of like the most ridiculously stupid reason why, but when you interlock the pictures, the books, it makes a picture, like a continuous picture, and as you collect more, it will continue the picture. Okay, so at the used bookstore, I got some more books, and I completely missed this, I forgot. But when I found my collection in my mother's garage, I happened to have this one, and that is The Queen's Knight by Kim Kang-won. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Honestly, I'm not too sure how to pronounce the Korean names. This is the first volume in a Korean manhwa, fantasy, historical-ish, sort of. And I happened to go to the bookstore, and they actually had volumes 2 through 6 of it, and they didn't even have volume 1. They only had 2 through 6 on their shelves, and I was like, wow, what a coincidence. I own volume 1, so I felt like it was kind of fate that I had to get these. So we have volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, volume 5, and volume 6. Now I will be doing kind of like a comparison between Japanese manga and Korean manhwa and going over like some of the differences in the two, but I'll go more into detail in a separate video with that. But yes, so I got those. I then got some continuations in series, and so I have here volume 4 of Nisekoi by Naoshi Komi. Love this series. So this is kind of like a contemporary comedy romance. It is actually labeled as a shonen, which is odd because shonens are meant for guy audiences, but I guess there's a lot of like fan service to guys in here, but I really like it, and it's so cute. Oh, I love it. I also got volume 3 of Dead Man Wonderland by Jinsei Katoka and Kazuma Kondo. Have not read it yet, but I plan to very soon. I then got volume 2 and volume 3 of Pluto by Naoki Urasawa. Osamu Tezuka is the original creator of Astro Boy, which is what Pluto is based off of. Have not read Astro Boy yet, but I am planning on it because classic manga is one of the themes that I want to do for our manga book club. By the way, I've put up a poll for voting for our theme for next month, so if you haven't joined, I will leave a link to the club down below, and please go and vote on our poll. I have some more stuff by Naoki Urasawa. I have volume 1 and volume 2 of 20th Century Boys, which I've read volume 1 already, and I have to say that at first, it confused me. I was a little bit confused as to where the story was going. They kept doing flashbacks and flash forwards, and it was just like all over the place at the beginning, and I was like, where are we going with this? But towards the end of the book, it started to totally make sense, and I have a feeling this is going to be a really awesome series. It is basically about cults, and there's a lot of political intrigue and murder mysteries. And then the last thing by the same author that I got was the Monster Signature Collection, which has volume 1 and 2 in it. But I love that it has the French flaps on it, and this is pretty cool if I can show it here. It has like this front cover that looks like there's an eye, but it's like a clear cover, and then there's a picture underneath it. And it also has colored pages in it too. Only a couple, like here and here, and that's it. I really liked it, and I cannot wait till the rest of these come out. This just came out this month, and this is one of the books that we're reading in the Manga Book Club, so if you have not joined us, no worries. It is the last week. You can still join us in reading it. Everyone is kind of reading ahead of what we're supposed to be reading, but doesn't matter. You could be ahead, you could be behind, we're all kind of just chatting about it. Speaking of bind-ups, I have this awesome looking historical fiction bind-up, and it is book 1 of Vinland Saga by Makoto Yukimura. This is a historical fiction about Vikings. I have to say, I am loving everything that Kodansha Comics is putting out, and so anything that they publish, I kind of have to go and buy immediately, and this looks pretty epic, and there's a lot of like cool fight scenes, and you can't see it, but yeah, it looks awesome. I don't see hardbacks in manga too often, so the next one I have here is No Longer Human, based on the novel by Osamu Dazai, and this manga was created by Usamaru Furuya. So I'm gonna read this, and I plan on checking out the novel if this is really good. As far as I can tell, it is a horror manga, and just flipping through this, it is definitely for adults. There is some adult-themed content in here, so if you're under 18, I would wait to check this out. Another newer manga that has been getting a lot of hype lately is The Seven Deadly Sins by Nakaba Suzuki. I think the first 3 are already published out, and honestly, I have no idea what this is about. I'm just gonna have to go into it blindly. Kind of interested in just going into it blindly instead of doing my research on it. But I've heard really good things about it. We'll have to see. Another one that I'm not too sure what the storyline is about is Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3 of Knights of Sidonia by Tsutomu Nihei. And all I know is that it is an adult sci-fi mecha, and that's it. But looks pretty awesome. I have the first 3 volumes in Limit by Keiko Tsuenobu. So we have Volumes 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. This is a survival story. I've already read the first 2 volumes of it a long time ago. I think it was even in one of my wrap-ups. But I don't think I ever really officially put this in any hauls. It's about a class going on a field trip. They are on their way there when the bus goes off of a hill suddenly and crashes in the woods, and everyone dies basically except for 4 girls. And it is their survival in the woods. And these 4 girls, they really don't like each other. There's only like 6 or so volumes, and I own the first 3, and I plan on getting the rest of them because they're really good. I then got Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3 of Eden, It's an Endless World by Hiroki Endo, and this is basically a post-apocalyptic sci-fi. What I got from the back of the books is that a virus has taken over the world, and if it does not kill you, it leaves you crippled, or a lot of people end up with cybernetic body parts, and it just sounds really cool. And the last 2 books that I have here are from the same series, and that is Volumes 1 and Volume 2 of Cage of Eden by Yoshinobu Yamada, and this is another survival story. I have already read the first volume, and it is amazeballs. It is another story about a class that instead of going to a field trip, they're coming back from a field trip from Guatemala, I think they were at. So they're on an airplane heading back home when the plane suddenly crashes and lands on a mysterious island. It almost has a Lost feeling to it because there's something strange about this island, and I don't want to go into further detail about like what those strange things about the island is, but it's really cool. I'm loving this series so far, and I cannot wait to continue. And again, by Kodansha Comics. That is all for my manga haul. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!